I mean, working in media now, it certainly seems like the logistics and transportation kind of sector is pretty fast moving and pretty dynamic right now. I mean, how are you finding it? I mean, I assume that you feel the effects more than most industries, really.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a forever evolving business, and you've got to be very dynamic in your approach, because even the smallest sort of economic turn down in one part of the world can affect something else. So we've always got to be evolving, and there's certainly we're the consequences of the pandemic, and then the Ukrainian war and fuel prices and all these things.
Did you feel like you had any break there?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No, we went from the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah.
But actually, funnily enough, this year's been better than we thought it would be.
Really? What, from a business perspective?
Yeah, I mean, we've a lot of private individuals, smaller boats, definitely dropped off because freight rates have doubled and tripled.
Yeah, does that just kind of push out your 40, 50 footers that might have thought, I can transport for 20 grand, and now they're like, well, it's worth half the boat if I transport it.
Exactly. Yeah, so we're seeing a big drop in that sector, but at the same time we're seeing an increase in the sort of 20 to 35 meter bracket, where I think, as fuel prices have increased, freight rates are up, but then fuel rates are up. So when you're trying to compare what it would be to deliver on your own bottom versus shipping, there's still
and crewing rates and
insurance and wear and tear and all that.
Okay, so there's a bit of an equilibrium there. And I mean, to be frank, you can charge a bit more as well, so for the business side of
things. Our rates are governed by what the shipping liners are billing us. So our prices are dictated by that. So we don't set the market sets our rates, and we have to sort of follow suit. So it makes it quite difficult to price sometimes.
I mean, are you seeing more demand for different routes now? Like we hear about from a cruising perspective that the yachts are heading to these more out there destinations. Are you getting that inquiry from a transportation perspective?
So over the COVID period, yes. People were thinking, right, well, I can't go here and I can't go there. Where can I go that's slightly off the beaten track? Where can I get out into the middle of nowhere and away from all this? So yes, we saw destinations like the Maldives and Fiji and sort of
Maldives was a real buzz there.
But now not so much. Everyone just wants to go back to normal, and I think normal is Carib Med, Far East, so
well, it's good for you from a business perspective, I guess, because it's that regularity you can predict. You can set your routes a year in advance or 2 years in advance and start filling up the deck.
Yeah, absolutely. We are a very seasonal business. We have the peaks and the troughs, and the peaks are based around the Caribbean season and the Med season. Outside of that, we do see a big drop off, but it's about finding ways to overcome that. We're not all about shipping boats. We do ship other stuff. So we're trying to grow that so that we're not so reliant on the boats.
Shipping a boat's a bit of an inefficient way to ship something, isn't it? Like in terms of, I don't know, packing efficiency, like it's a bit of a funny kind of thing to plonk on the front of a boat.
Yeah, I mean, there are 100 different reasons why someone wants to ship a boat. Sure. I mean, it could be anything for someone wants to get the boat there without having the hassle of having to take it through the Suez or through the Bay of Biscay or whatever, all the way through to an owner who just wants to give all his crew a 3-week holiday at the same time. So,
I think, are you seeing, I mean, obviously there's big carriers like DYT and stuff that they've built, either the Yacht Servant, I think it's like 220 meter specific, big piece of kit. And there's a bit more movement, I think, in that respect. So does it seem, do you think that the interest in ship transport is just growing proportionate with the fleet, or do you think that it's perhaps growing disproportionately to the size of the fleet? Like, are more people wanting to transport boats?
I think there are more yachts out there that are not designed to go further afield.
I mean,
so that
your Ferrettis, your Benettis.
Exactly.
Their order books
gone
are
are the days
full.
Where you built a yacht to go around the world.
Yeah.
Now people are getting around building yachts to cruise locally in the air.
When
so you
there's
do
no
have
tide,
to ship.
there's no
yeah,
nothing,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So you do have to ship between A and B. The fuel ranges on these boats aren't
Yeah, they're like I
Not
think
what they
it's,
used to be.
they're not. Yeah, and I think if you know Grand Banks, I use the Grand Banks as
Yeah.
an example.
Yeah.
You build a 20, well, not even that. You build a 45-foot, 50-foot Grand Banks. It would still go across the Atlantic.
Sure.
But that's
You
not.
might have to fill it with a lot of fuel, though.
Yeah, you have a few
Few
bladders,
barrels,
few
yeah.
bladders on the back. But there are boats like that. But I think all of these new build manufacturers are completely full. All the semi-custom and the production line guys are full. And probably 80% of their boats are not Atlantic capable.
Yeah.
So that's good for you guys.
Yeah, it is, absolutely, yeah. And then, race boats as well.
Yeah.
Race boats are designed to be inshore racing. There's very few ocean-going race boats out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, someone who's planning to race in the Caribbean doesn't necessarily want their boat to be trashed when it gets there. They want it to be race ready.
Yeah. And you don't want the crew to be exhausted and pissed off.
So, a lot of our business comes from that racing clientele.
And it's been 50 years now for Peters and May.
So the first Peters and May company was born in 1973. So in June of next year we'll be celebrating our 50th anniversary. We haven't been shipping boats for that long, but about 30 years. But it's still, there's not so many companies out there in our industry that can say that.
Do you ever think that you'd own a boat?
No. No.
Too
I have
complicated.
owned a little rib in the past.
No, I meant Peters and May. Do you think
Oh,
Peters and May
will
would
own a
buy
boat.
one?
No. We did have a little tender that we used to shuttle people to and from the
But
ships.
you never buy your own transport vessel.
No, it's unfortunately yachts, surprisingly, don't actually pay the largest proportion of the revenue on any ship.
Sure.
So, compared to oil and gas and wind energy business and, all that sort of stuff, actually what goes under deck is paying 2/3 of the
Really?
revenue on the vessel.
Well,
Now,
because it's just so you can fill the whole thing, right? It's
well,
just,
the underdeck space is always the premium spot because it's dry and
of
it's
course.
airtight and all that jazz. So, and yachts are not very efficient to put under deck because you end up paying for an
Wasted
awful lot of
space,
fresh
yeah.
air. So
Can't ask a client, can I just fill your boat with grain as well? to
exactly.
double up?
Yeah. Well, you put the grain and then put the yacht on
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
You can't really do that. So, lost my train of thought. Where were we?
No, it's just an efficient job on your own vessel, really.
Yeah, so that's right. So in essence, because we can't cater for that underdeck space. Owning the ship
Doesn't make any sense.
doesn't make any sense because we wouldn't be able to fill that underdeck space.
You just got to get creative with filling the top.
Yeah, which is why when you think about DYT, they've gone for a huge, big, open-top vessel. It doesn't need underdeck space.
Yeah, it's a cool boat.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how you do make money in that size, right? It's got to be completely custom made, drop down with that draft consideration that you can just drive the big boats on.
Yeah. I mean, the flow is second to none. You can't beat it.
Yeah.
So
Float on, float off.
Float
for
off,
those,
float off. Yeah, exactly.
For
yeah,
those
sorry,
not in the
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think lastly I would say, turbulent time. You've had back to back issues to deal with, but still turning a profit, still running an efficient business. If we do return back to normal, how do you see the next few years? If we do have that drop, the fuel prices stabilise.
Yeah, so Peters and May's we're not madly trying to grow.
Yep.
At the moment, we're just trying to remain stable.
Yeah.
We've got a really good team of people now. We've got a very dedicated and loyal workforce. Our average tenure is coming up for 10 years now. So I think that explains a lot about what kind of company we are and why people have such passion to work for us. But so I think it's all about stabilisation for the moment and just making the business as productive and efficient as possible and serving our clients. You don't want to grow too quickly. If you grow too quickly, you get out of control and you inefficiencies creep in and you can't give the quality of service. It's quite a competitive market.
Yeah.
Our business, it might not seem it, but there are a lot of people out there doing what we do. The barriers to entry are now lower than they would ever have been in the past. So,
In what sense?
well, I mean, one of the largest barriers to entry years ago was people wouldn't have an inventory of cradles to cradle any yacht. But now there are companies out there that will hire you any cradle you want to ship from A to B.
Okay, so you can,
So
strap
you
anything
can
down, yeah.
essentially, start up and in 3-4 people in an office.
And then you rent this. I mean, excuse us for my ignorance, but or perhaps anyone that's watching is ignorance, because you can then rent the space or
anyone can buy
anyone
the space on the deck, and as long as they've got the logistics and the expertise behind them, and they can rent the cradle and the lifting gear, then
technically they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is a niche business, and you do need some expertise. You can't, I'm not saying anybody can do this, but it just does lower the barriers to entry. It makes it a more competitive environment. So the one thing we have got going for us at the moment is our longevity and our passion, and the fact that we have been around for 50 years, because no one else can say that. Sure. And that says a lot about our brand and our business, and so that's why we're focusing on that next year so heavily.